tell me what happens next.
I had spent so much intentional time trying to learn Spanish that I actually felt like my English sucked.
Really?
It's a weird, but I went from first class degree, presentations, all of that stuff.
You got a first class degree?
Yeah.
Oh. And so what was it like being in that environment, working for Facebook?
Everyone wants a specialist on paper, but in reality, they're looking for a generalist.
What was it for you that made you say you have to move to Dubai now?
Dubai has so much to offer, especially from the hospitality perspective. Almost feels like backbone of the sea.
Personally, I don't think I've ever heard back from a job that I've applied for ever in my life. Okay, are there any things that you think you did when you were actually applying yourself to different roles?
You need to disassociate your emotions from the job search. It's not personal.
I love this confidence oozing from you. From London to Lagos to the Middle East, this is Black in Dubai, the podcast where we talk to Black and African expats about their journey and experiences, unpacking their truths right here in Dubai and across the different Emirates. And today's guest is actually a very good friend of mine, someone that I've known for very many years, who has traveled to many different places and now is about to call Dubai home. So I would love to introduce this very creative, charismatic, enthusiastic being named Tobias Aziza.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thanks for joining, because you are literally just starting on this Dubai chapter. Been here many, many times, but as a creative and kind of going into the tech world, can you give us a nice introduction of Tobias and what it is that you do?
Okay, so I could sort of sum myself up as a few things. I'm a hospitality professional, so work in the food and beverage scene. Previously worked in the event industry. At the moment, I'm an advisor, mentor, food service consultant. I am taking the leap from the contract catering space into more of a quick service retail, what we call QSR. I'm a board member in the UK, and I'm a father and a husband.
Amazing. Brilliant stuff. And as I mentioned, you've lived in lots of different places, but before I get there, I just want to say that your journey so far, although you're just started in Dubai, has started way before that as an expat. And as a creative, we go way back, because very many years ago, we actually worked together on a promotional street team, doing a lot of community work. And I find as the years have gone on and you've evolved into traveling and different industries and of course becoming a husband and a father, you've still got that very creative energy that I remember from many, many years ago, handing out flyers, doing events. And you've been able to really keep that essence in different roles that you've done, and of course going into F&B, but you've not lost that side of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what took you to your first trip outside, or should I say your first residence outside of London, and why?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess growing up, as I'm of Caribbean background. Sorry, yeah, so I'm a Caribbean background, and I'm quite mixed though. I've had, my mother is from, she's born in the UK, but she's from Jamaica. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents' house, who are of Jamaican and Grenadian descent. Yes, and and I spent a lot of time in Jamaica. So I used to go back and forth when I was younger, much younger. And my mom always made sure that we were rooted in our like kind of African culture.
Right.
And so there was always this era of, going and visiting Africa, going to visit different countries as well. So I had gone to, I think at a young age. Back then it wasn't quite normal for my friend group to have traveled quite a lot, but went to many different Caribbean countries. I went to places in Africa, mostly West Africa, the Gambia, Senegal, and visited family in places like Canada. And I guess that introduction to travel made me feel that I wanted to just maintain that, the exposure to different perspectives. my first kind of venture outside of the UK by myself was actually to Spain. After studying at university, I wanted to go and live in Spain. That was brought on from my event background and my affiliation with Caribbean cultures in like Carnival, etc. Learning Spanish at university, I decided I wanted to go to Dominican Republic. Actually, surprisingly, yeah, I learned Spanish because I felt that it would be a good asset to have, go in there and actually looking at events like Carib Festa, Santo Domingo Carnival, etc., etc. Finishing uni, I felt, okay, I need to hone the Spanish skills because there's only so much you're going to get without going to a Spanish-speaking country. And I went to Madrid, a lot cheaper than Dominican Republic to get to, obviously.
Right.
Okay. So I spent a little while there, and I guess that goal had died somewhat, and I had focused on just being there, absorbing, just being in another country by myself. And it really kind of dawned on me the experience that it's had when you are in a space that's not your home environment.
Yeah.
And I just took that time there as a learning experience to just do more and learn more about myself, learn more about culture. It was my first time just having space to absorb my surroundings in that way. So that was, I guess that was my first venture abroad. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really born out of a yearn to travel the world, etc. It was more strategic, but then turned into something more holistic.
So, when we were younger, and I've always told you this when we reconnected, I was so impressed with you and your friends who was on the street team at the time. So for background story for myself, I came to Dubai doing music, and prior to that, had a promotional street team that was a business in the UK, as you know.
Yeah.
But way before the business even started, we were doing that for the community events.
Yeah.
And, it might be the talent shows or different events that would come up. And that's how we got connected through John Downey. Thank you for putting us together. But how long between that period and this period now, what was the gap between that? Because I feel like you guys were such young, vibrant, talented men who you weren't doing what the typical guys were doing, hanging out on the block or just doing other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Clubbing and everything. You guys just seemed like really cool, enthusiastic guys, but you definitely didn't need smoking or alcohol or anything to like have a good time. You guys are just vibing on life.
Yeah.
And whether it was a street team or otherwise, you guys were putting really holistic events together. And I just remember always want to be in your corner because I'm like, these guys are going places. Do you know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, I think that's really transpired into who you are today, but you've always been that person. So like for a lot of us not really wanting to leave London, up until this period now where we are, but so many people don't leave. Well, why would you leave London? Do you know what I mean? But I feel like at that young age to just go off to Spain and say, I want to try something different. I want to learn the language. I want to immerse myself into the language. Like, was there anyone around you doing something similar, or you just took it upon yourself?
There wasn't anyone around me doing anything like that that I can remember. I think stepping a step back a little bit to the street team days, we were definitely just high off life. We just wanted to have fun. We found fun in just being around each other. As young men, we would go to each other's houses, play on consoles, just eat foolishness and whatnot. And we weren't really outside doing the most. But I think part of that was we're probably just too young to get in clubs.
True.
We just weren't. We were that young back then, and John Downey, who ran Saba and UK Unsigned, kind of took us on as this, almost protege ball of energy to help promote things. And we was just so happy to just join that tour of events and get involved in the logistics and the backstage elements, and not really realizing we're learning so many transferable skills, but we just thought we were getting in for free to places.
Exactly.
Places.
Our own guest list.
Yeah, all of that stuff. And so I think a lot of those skills that we developed without knowing we were developing those skills kind of gave us a bit of a jump start. So when we started to really hyper focus on something we really wanted to do, for me it started to be the planning of things, the logistics, the creating the milestones and the step-by-step process for things. And So when it came down to, okay, what do I want to do? I did so many events. I actually decided I want to go and study events management. I didn't know what events management was. I had to look up what I can do it. Now,
What is marketing?
I like to getting people together, creating a moment, an experience, and seeing people react to that, seeing people create bonds with that. And that turned out to be events management. I went and studied events management at the University of West London. At that point, I started to, study a bit more about international events and learn more around what was going on in parts of the Caribbean, parts of Europe, etc. And hence what felt, actually, I've always been told learning another language would be great. I feel like Spanish might be a good one, and really just ran with it and invested in that process, hence me then moving to Madrid, etc. So I've always been one of those people to, use those transferable skills. I have an idea, I have a focus, troubleshoot it a little bit. Okay, this looks like a great one. I'm going to run with it 120%. So
Do you think the parents played a role in encouraging you to be fearless, maybe, or maybe even discouraging you out of, love, I guess, or just protection? What role did your parents play in that, helping you go away at such a young age?
yeah, I know what I know now. It was hard for my mom for me to go away, and I wasn't that young. I'm trying to think now. This was after uni, so maybe about 21, maybe 22. But I had been away abroad, and that concept is quite foreign to my family, to just disappear and go away for a period of time. But she didn't let me know that she didn't.
Okay.
She wasn't as comfortable as she knew. I did my due diligence. This started way back. I would go out in the night, probably leave the home at around 11 p.m. midnight, and I'll be on public transport, and I'll be going with a rucksack of flyers.
Yeah.
I'll be hitting a club at 1, 2, 3.
I know those days so well.
Showing my age a little bit, not that we're that old, but you would hit some of that Bagel King at 5 p.m. in the UK.
AM.
And yeah,
AM.
AM, yeah, 5 a.m. Yeah. And this was in the name of promotion. This was in the name of marketing, but not marketing.
That's when people still gave out CDs as well.
Yeah.
Flyers and CDs.
And I really credit that time to my people skills, my sales skills, in terms of how to talk to people, how to keep someone's attention, because no one wants a flyer after a full night. Like, no one wants to talk to you. But if you have something of value and there's a way of saying it, you may have a new customer. And that, for me,
What were you promoting? Was it your own events, or did you have clients that were doing like raves and because we started doing like flyering for theatre companies and jazz nights and a range of stuff. Different promoters or event organizers and arenas approached us eventually when we turned it into a business. But there's definitely the days where we were doing like the night stuff, the raves. Someone comes out of a rave and we're telling them about a rave next week, and all the city clubs in Bank and those days.
So mostly I went through a few different things. So during the UK Unsigned days, it was more around local community live music showcases, local talent shows. Then it moved on to things like nightclub events. I started to do after parties. Most of these were my own events, concept events, and some partnership events as well. And then it grew further into, bigger venues. We started to do concerts, fashion shows. We started to work with partners to bring over artists, work with venues like Sawaya, with Indigo, etc. So not as big as like the massive arenas, but these were homegrown events.
Yeah, in good capacity, like 2,000 people.
Yeah. I think that was probably at my peak back then, around that. But we weren't doing events in the way that events should be done.
Right.
We weren't making money from events. Making money, but it wasn't our career as such. We were still at that point just having fun. And I think that's where I saw the gap. I saw like there's something I'm missing here. I haven't really formally looked into this. I'm not sure. Like now, there's the sponsorships and there's all of those stuff that come with events. So that's what drew me to go into more formal education and see if I can make that into a career. And actually, it was my time in Spain where I started to really get into the food side of things. I had looked at looked at myself, looked at the space I was in, and felt that actually I want to make some dietary changes. I wanted to, dive into learning a bit more around nutrition, etc. And I started to learn more around health and well-being space as well. So the food aspect of things and the creating moments and event side of things started to intersect. So then, when I came back, I was kind of looking for event roles, and but then, as we'll get into in the conversation, I ended up in the F&B world, food and beverage, for those that might not know F&B. So yeah.
That's fantastic. And so going into the F&B world, you do Spain for how many years?
Not years. I did Spain for about 8 months max. I think it was around that time. I went with a purpose of learning Spanish. To pay my way, I actually taught English.
Really?
Yeah, so I've been an English teacher. Yeah.
Nice. I don't think I knew that about you.
Yeah, no, I did. I've done a TEFL course teaching English as a foreign language, and worked in a language school for a while, and did some independent tutoring. And yeah, essentially to pay my way while I was there. And just a humbling experience. I really struggled with the teaching, especially into the younger, more students, because at that point my Spanish was not like amazing. But I actually, by the time I was leaving Spain, I was very much conversational. Like I had friends that had very limited English, and I could, I have that dialogue. I could speak with them. And as the years have gone on, I wouldn't say I speak Spanish anymore, but
You kind of lost it. You're not as fluent.
But I feel like learning a second, third language, those out there that speak multiple languages, I really give them the praise, because the perspective, the way that opens your mind, just the skill set that
Absolutely.
It's not even enough credit. And us people in the UK, I mean, most of us speak one language. We kind of sometimes expect the world to forward for us, and
Sometimes.
I'm being polite here.
All the time.
I think meeting people where they are is so important in every aspect of culture, especially if you're on their territory. And I've seen that through my years of spending time in multiple markets. So, yeah.
Of course. I mean, as Brits, I think we're fortunate in the sense that we get to reap a lot of the benefits that have unfortunately come from colonialism. And, going to most countries around the world, you will find most people who will speak some element of English, but they, as you said, speak multiple languages. So coming out to the Middle East and being around such a diverse community of like 200 plus nationalities. Yes, I'm from the UK, lived in West London, was in a very diverse school, etc. But a lot of the Africans that I knew were either Nigerian or Ghanaian or maybe Somali, a couple Eritreans. That's it. 4 African people, or African countries are they. Outside of that, most of my community, my friends, family, Caribbean, or some kind of mixed parentage, English, Irish, etc. And we speak English. We weren't picking up other languages. We didn't need to. And I think there's that level of arrogance to some degree, because we know we can go most places, we can order off the menu, we can make out basic stuff. But coming here and being in such a diverse space where I think we're the minority of people who only speak English. When you go now to speak to most people from whatever country, if they're from Russia, if they're from Germany, if they're from France, if they're from, see locals here, Emiratis, they'll speak Arabic. So, it's very humbling, because a lot of people speak at least 2 minimum 3 languages, and sometimes, 4 or 5 local dialects as well.
But that was my first encounter in Spain. Like a lot of the friends that I made, they weren't all local. There were people that travelers, etc. But they were even from other parts of Europe, and that was on their like 4th, 5th language.
Yeah.
There's me, like 1.5 languages, right?
Trying to get there.
It's exactly. And it's to be honest, at first you're a bit regressive, like, wow, where have I been? What have I been doing? But then it's inspiring as well.
It is inspiring.
At a very subtle level, right? And that's the thing around travel and perspective, really working out where your baseline is, right? You stay in London, you stay in England. Depending on your environment, because there's some amazing environments you can be in the UK that can inspire you. But a lot of us are maybe not privy to that, or don't have the luxury of being in those environments as much. So, getting something different, immersing yourself in something different is guaranteed to inspire some level of change.
I agree with you. I think no matter which environment, frankly, someone like yourself and even, the two of us, we will learn from most places. We'll pick up, we're people. You're a people person for sure. And that is that one hub, right? But I think coming outside of that, you get to learn so many different nuances and things that you didn't know until you got outside of that family space or that community space back in London. Or anyway, I remember having to do something with the street team one time in Manchester, and I was like, how am I going to take on this job in Manchester? I ended up doing it though because I had a mentor at the time, and the mentor was like, you can do this. I'm like, how? Anyway, I ended up going down to Manchester, interviewing some people out there, leaving them with some flyers and all sorts of stuff, but we figured it out. And Manchester obviously is still part of the UK, but I know it's just different. It's different 50 other people down there, but it didn't mean it was impossible. So it was just about coming outside of my comfort zone at that time, and making those connections and building that bridge and not being afraid to do something outside of your comfort zone, which you for sure are not. So moving from Spain, you did 8 months, and then you're back in the UK. And tell me what happens next. Is that where you go into your big job?
Well, going back, so I decided, look, before I give myself to a corporation, the world, whatever, I hear all these stories about at that age, you land the job, is going to take all your time, take everything. So I wanted to do something for me. That was Spain. So in coming back from Spain, it was job search time. I had spent so much intentional time trying to learn Spanish in a very short space of time. And I got quite good at it. I actually felt like my English suffered.
Really?
It's a weird thing, and I don't know how true this is, but I think some people that speak a second language can attest to this. They spend a lot of time in the country, say their second language is English. When they go home, their home language does suffer in some ways, or it doesn't sound as authentic, or they can't remember certain words. And I don't expect something like that to happen to me in that short space of time. But I went from first class degree, presentations, all of that stuff, all the
degree.
Thank you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. All the confidence in the world.
Sorry, what degree did you study?
Events management. Events management.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. Okay, so sorry, you did say earlier, but I'm trying to remember between street team, college, then university. So university, events management.
So
of course you got a first in events management. I mean, you would have got a first in anything. This guy is top dog.
I said that was my goal. So I'm going to university, I'm going to get a first. And it doesn't mean it was going to be easy. Didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what a first really was. I know it was just a high grade. So I made sure I got that.
I didn't know what a first really was.
At that time. Now I know the meaning of and the value of higher degrees, but at the same time I also understand the value of as a degree regardless of grade, especially when you're talking about the job search as well.
Of course.
That's the world, right? Grades are the world back then, but really, are they really? Yeah. So it was job search time, and going into interviews, the interviews I could get, I lacked confidence. I lacked confidence because
even with your travel experience,
it wasn't.
Or did it feel
It wasn't the content in terms of what I was talking about. It was how I articulated myself. At that point, my biggest experience of articulating myself was either in events on stage talking about certain things, or it was in a classroom presenting my work. I hadn't done many interviews.
Right.
So the nerves of it being only a few interviews I've had in the past, and also feeling a bit substandard because I feel like, am I finding the right words to articulate myself in the best way for these,
right,
especially after, aggressively trying to learn a language. So I think at that time I applied to maybe like 200, 300 jobs. I got like 2 interviews. I didn't get any of those jobs. Feeling sorry for yourself, you adjust your strategy a little bit. I had a LinkedIn, wasn't using it that much, but I got headhunted for a role on LinkedIn by a contractor company, hiring for an event manager role on behalf of Meta.
Nice.
They didn't tell me it was on behalf of Meta at the time.
And it wasn't Meta at the time, it was Facebook.
Yes, that's right. So with my event management experience, they were building out an event team for their new London office at the time. This was back in 2014.
Okay.
2014. Long story short, I got the role. These tech companies, a lot of people, they may not realize, but these tech companies operate at a very high talent pool level. They're fighting for talent, top tier talent, and especially back then. And they are providing the most perks, under the sun to try and retain and attract that talent. Some of that is a food and beverage program. So when I visited the office for my interview and I saw this space, not just the ping pong tables and the pool tables, but these, what we call micro kitchens, the packaged snacks, teas, coffees, and the big cafes with the meals and etc. That's all complementary to the staff and events and people visiting those offices. I was like, wow, is this what, like, obviously I know this is not what work's like, but this working environment is amazing. Long story short, I nearly didn't get the role. I was overqualified for the role.
Right.
And I remember the question that my interviewer asked me, mentioning, I see he outright, he said, I've seen the overqualified for this role, and kind of asked why should they take me on? And I mentioned that I'm willing to take steps back to go forward. I can see that this is a growing office, and no doubt there'll be internal opportunities. I just want to be able to add value where I can. And I think that's the crux of what I'm learning, is the crux of any partnership, any recruitment. How can you add value? And even if someone outgrows their role, how can you keep them, retain them, continue to add value to that company? So they took me on. I started that role. I worked in events for about 1.5 years, but also because of the culinary program there, everything started to grow and expand. And I would always give slight constructive feedback to the then culinary manager that was looking after the region. He was based in Ireland at the time, and I was based in London, and London was really growing.
So sorry, just to pause there for context, because I've worked at a few really good companies that have, big offices in multiple countries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've never been in a corporate world where they provide the F&B for staff.
Yeah.
Some things might get paid for, maybe Christmas parties or different trainings and things like that. But this sounds fantastic. Like, what was it like to be? And this was so after the whole Spain journey and having not enough confidence in the other interviews, you eventually land this role. And so this is like your first in the corporate world
I would say so.
after university.
Yeah, before that it was more kind of the retail. I did some sales, I've done a few other things, but I would say my first in the corporate world.
And so what was it like being in that environment, working for Facebook?
So, I mean, firstly, when I started, I wasn't working directly for Facebook. I was in a capacity, but it did feel like I was also working for Facebook.
Right.
I think the food service perk element, you think of some employees as having, you have your lunchroom, and then you imagine your lunchroom that provides a level of food. So some offices may have cafes, some will have a little like a vending machine, etc. What a lot of the bigger companies do, so think of big tech, investment banks, software companies, etc. They may have either heavily subsidized or a free vending concept where it may just be between meal snacks and drinks. It may just be a light continental breakfast. It may just be Friday lunches. But there is sometimes an element that they try to entice and retain and improve the office culture by allowing food and beverage services. And now these are not necessarily their sustenance, but it's about convenience. People are in the workplace, they don't have to think about their food. They want something a bit more fun sometimes. And food is the way to everyone's heart, right?
Well, was it more of a concept of, we don't want you to leave the office, we just want you to work? Not Facebook specifically, but some of these companies that do that. Is it more so if they don't have to step out to go on a lunch break, they're going to be here, there's fruits, there's juices, there's meals, or is it more of a holistic space? I guess it depends company to company, right? But do you feel it was more of a holistic space where it's like, do you know what? The team can take a break. They can have healthy options here. We can introduce new things. We can be more of a family. Was it that kind of culture?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
I'd say it has its ebbs and flows as the company and the office cultures, especially as I kind of go on in my journey, manage different parts of the world. The size of the office doesn't matter in terms of that community family feel. But essentially the former of what you said in terms of efficiency, in terms of actually if employees leave the office, you do lose time. The brain power of them thinking, okay, what am I going to eat for lunch? I prefer this, or I like that, or I have this allergy, or, etc. And having those options there ready when they are where they are, really saves time and saves convenience, and
It saves money.
it saves money as well.
Yeah, to go out spending on lunch, because sometimes that is the craziest part. Especially in London.
Yes.
Transport in, transport back, traffic, all of these things, and then the expenses on lunch. Then if somebody's leaving, or it's a birthday, or you just feel like going and having a different lunch.
Yeah.
You go, and before you think about it, you've got to be back in the office shortly. You're spending this on that. You've got to wolf it down, get back into the office,
Exactly that. So the concepts exist, and only specific companies or big companies have the capital to have this level of benefit. And as I mentioned, that even at a company the size of Meta, there's ebbs and flows to the investment that a company would put into something like that. But the ROI is very clear. That it is a net benefit for a lot of companies. So a lot of big tech take it to a different level. So you have massive cafes that rotate menus daily. You have multiple options. There's a lot of care and consideration in terms of dietary needs, and that's the feedback that I came in with it initially. It wasn't, I'm not a chef. I can cook, but I don't cook as a professional. I am more of a keen eye on dietary needs, on specialty diets, on nutrition, on menu engineering, on that element of things, looking at the cross-cultural impact in how people eat, what people eat, the labeling standards around those things. So coming in with those expertise, when you are catering in an office environment or a kind of fixed audience environment, you're catering to the same audience day in, day out.
Right.
You're not a high street restaurant.
Right.
So what that means is that now you have to think about the smaller details. There is that employee with an allergy.
I was going to say, he can't have nuts. He can't be next to eggs. This one doesn't eat fish.
Diabetes, this person's pregnant. This person's halal. And, there is modular menu concepts that you can create to help support your operations, as well as cater to as many people as you can, whilst adding some creative flair to menus as well. So yeah, over time, I'd learned a lot of that. Right.
You pivoted from the event role into this.
Yeah, I think I was getting the same thing. I was getting the same thing of creating an experience, bringing people together and watching people enjoy that experience.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you can get that from events, creating that event concept, that theme, that joy, and watching people attend. You can create a meal, a menu, an experience, a pop-up, and watch people come and enjoy that experience too.
And was that role already there? Or was that something that kind of evolved over time and they saw what you were doing in the event space and how you were able to bring a lot of your ideas and feedback to the existing team?
Well, I think firstly, that because of the scale of the growth, I had a lot of autonomy and there was a framework, but I was fortunate enough to be able to build a lot of that framework. I came quite early. Meta is a tech company. They're often outsourced, like many companies, outsource this sort of skill set. Meta decided at a specific level, a management level at least, to be able to have someone internally to be able to manage the contract catering contracts and how the program should look. So I was fortunate to work with my my leadership team and work with different colleagues in terms of building that out. Many mistakes made along the way, but ultimately we've done a great job. And part of that was the operational side, looking at everything from budgets to food safety to menu planning to all of the stuff in between, menu engineering, looking at the profiles of the franchise acronyms here, looking at the menu mix essentially. And then on the project side, really working with the project teams, the architects, the designers to design and build out some of those kitchen spaces, those food spaces, as we continue to open new cafes in new buildings or new markets. So I started in London, and then very quickly I was asked to look after places like Paris and Hamburg and in Switzerland.
Fantastic.
And Johannesburg, etc. And so then this is me now actually traveling for work. And for me at first, this was like, wow, going to see all these places. Quickly learned that this is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I'm very fortunate to really be able to at least dip my toe in certain markets and learn a lot more about the food culture. I'm a sponge. I'm somewhere and I ask questions and I ask colleagues and I learn from those people. So to bring that into my work. So I feel a lot more rounded because of that. My time at Meta, I've been at Meta for probably just under 11 years, I think. And during that time, I spent time in London, in Singapore. Back in London, I had managed across Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia at different points. Some overarching projects that hit the US as well. And, just many different model structures that I'd worked with there, everything from procurement to contract design to operations to...
I mean, listening to you now, I know I knew a little bit about what you did at Meta, but that was so beautiful. And when we reconnected out here, you'd often, on the way back from somewhere close by, you'd be like, I've got a day in Dubai, or I've got a few hours, or I've got an afternoon, let's meet and grab a coffee or have a drink or something. And I loved hearing about all the things that you'd learned in different places of the world. Or if I had a product or something, you'd be like, I want to know more about this, what's in it. I might take this back to my team and maybe it will get implemented into the staff menu. And that was beautiful. And I think, of course, this is on such a high tech company scale, but I think the attention to detail that you're able to provide, listening to different people and their needs, and of course, even for yourself, because you're vegan, right? It was just beautiful to see you put your own passion and ideas and stuff in. That was actually going to make a difference, because what we put into our mouths every single day is what's fueling us, our mind, body, and soul. And for a lot of us, we don't think about it. We're doing convenience. We're doing what's affordable. We're doing whatever I don't have to cook tonight. Do you know what I mean? Especially being in Dubai, it's so busy and there's a million and one restaurants to choose from. But I always found sitting and talking to you and hearing about your journey between London and then Singapore and everywhere in between, you were able to slow it down and really be like, this is what is good and this is what I'd like to take back to my team. So great attention to detail and just looking after, I'm sure you had hundreds of people that you were responsible for, but
it's I think that firstly I would say that in terms of a team, there were people that I was working with, but essentially those were the contracted experts, I would say, in those different markets, which I relied on very heavily for local expertise. I think one of the proudest elements of my more latter side of, when I was working at Meta is the work I did with a lot of FMCG brands on small brands, basically, in terms of packaged snacks and drinks, in terms of getting them into or getting them listed with Meta in multiple markets. I'm a big advocate for supporting small businesses and diverse businesses, and working with a lot of the internal teams had really brought in a lot of brands into our offices, which in turn had helped those brands gain exposure, brand awareness, have affiliation with a big tech company, and ultimately give that cash injection. As we're a free vending concept, they're able to almost semi-guarantee sales if their product's popular. And a lot of partnerships with the vendor partners in different markets, and that the fulfillment I have from that was amazing. And I think that's some of the proudest work I've done there. So as I mentioned, at different points, it's been more restaurant heavy at some point, it's been more project heavy at other points, it's been more FMCG and marketing heavy on other points, it's been more pop-ups and bringing in creative concepts. So I've had a very full journey at Meta, and I feel like I've left some value, added value there too. So it's been a great journey.
So it took you to Singapore in that role, and you did a few years out there, which we'll touch on in just a little bit. But I want to get to your Dubai chapter because, as I said, you visited many times en route to and from different locations for the office. And I think that was beautiful that you had such a remote role that you were able to really make it your own and still had time to stop by and catch up with me. But what is it about Dubai that made you say, okay, I'm not going to go back to Singapore? And you returned from Singapore to London for 3 years now?
5 years, actually.
Was it been 5 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you blinked. COVID took 2 years from
I
us.
was going to say, I just remember you guys visiting when you were in the Oh, wow. Anyway, 5 years in London and now Dubai.
Yeah.
So I feel like on the one hand, you've had itchy feet. You did a lot of traveling work. you've done expat life in Spain and Singapore. You returned home, and a lot of people actually go home and that's it. It's just like, I've done my traveling.
Yeah.
I've done my expat series. You've now have a family, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna get on the plane again. What's made it about Dubai now?
So I think when we came back from Singapore, we said to ourselves that we'll probably give the UK 5 to 10 years before we think about what our next adventure might be like.
So you left around like COVID time?
Yeah, it's 2020, mid 2020. So we felt that, you know, the UK is nice, but the thing that was bringing us back to the UK was more family than anything else.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you miss wearing a little jacket or something, but it's not.
Wearing a jacket?
No, I don't miss wearing a jacket. But I don't know, like, there's only so much you can do with your clothes as a man sometimes. You know, you want a little overthrow or something. But yeah, so Dubai came about, I think initially, my sister-in-law and my brother were living out here. She was a teacher, he's an entrepreneur. And, you know, we came to visit them. It was like our first escape after London, after being told we have to stay put because of COVID for a period of time. And, you know, so we went to Dubai, and, you know, we went with my son then was probably about, trying to remember, like maybe 2 years old, maybe a little 2.5. And we stayed with them. And, you know, so I've only known Dubai from a residential perspective, as a family place. I obviously, of course, like many, know the kind of luxury elements that Dubai has to offer and the convenience, etc. But that was our kind of introduction to what Dubai could be like
as a family.
And we really enjoyed ourselves. And maybe call it, I don't know, cabin fever from when we were in the COVID times, and then just having that relief and that escape, or whether it was more just a genuine, like, you know, I do like this place. The one gripe was the driving. The driving was crazy. Especially back then. I don't know what feels different now. It feels easier for me now, but back then it felt it felt crazy. Yeah, so then it was like, you know, would we move to Dubai? I don't know. Driving's a bit crazy, but we weren't really seriously considering anywhere at that time. It was just like we're doing our thing in the UK. And I think over time, we just felt more and more this connection with, actually, we want something else. Not sure what it is. And we did say when we came into the UK, let's do a bit of traveling and figure out where we might want to go to. And it's not that we had to go somewhere, it's just that we wanted to.
Would you reconsider going back to Singapore, or did you at the time before making a decision?
We did. We, you know, fast forward a few years, we felt that, you know, I started to feel like, okay, my time at Meta is kind of, I feel like coming to an end. I've had a great run there, and I feel like I want something a little bit different. We looked at the fact that our kids are quite young, and our parents are young enough for us not to have to be very close right now. So I felt like if we're going to do a big move like that, now is as good a time than any. So we started to plan that out. And so we looked at Singapore, looked at Hong Kong, we looked at Dubai, we looked at not just Dubai, but we looked at Abu Dhabi, was considering Riyadh. There wasn't many other places we were considering at that time. But when we did make the shortlist, it felt like, I think maybe because we had that affiliation with Dubai felt like where the draw was. So like, they're not here anymore. I know, they've gone and we're here now, so they'll visit and they'll stay with us. Okay. So we kind of settled on Dubai. Then earlier this year, in February, I was out here for Gulf Food, the Gulf Food Expo. And just connected with a bunch of old friends and new friends, industry people, and met up with an old school friend, and, you know, just had a long conversation about his time out here and kind of just what Dubai has to offer. And I feel like I just, you know, made the decision. It's like, okay, this is where it's going to be. But, you know, you can only half make the decision by yourself. My wife has to also make the decision. I got back, and, you know, we had a conversation, and she was up for it, and so we put wheels in motion. At that point, I was planning to leave my role at Meta, and I had intentionally planned out a break from the corporate world, and I took 3 months out after leaving Meta to be very intentional about time with the family. Something that
when I speak to, especially now, I speak to a lot of my senior industry heads, and some of them do wish they did something similar when their kids were younger, because a lot of us do miss out on some moments, but don't really remember what meeting we was in many years ago that we couldn't attend this or couldn't do that. And it wasn't that we were doing anything super, super special. It was that, that bonding time, that present time was important. So between jobs, I wanted to make sure I gave myself and gave my family that moment. So
just to clarify then, when you decided like you've done a good run at Meta and you wanted something different, a lot of people, in your position, again, being from the UK, being in a fantastic top tech company with a good salary, a good foundation, a good pension, for a lot of people, it's hard to like walk away from that security.
Yeah.
When you were deciding, okay, I'm going to leave, I'm going to take that pause, was it a direct, I'm going to leave this to go to Dubai, or did you just feel like you need to close this chapter first and see where the wind would blow you?
It was a few things. Like it was a little bit of that, but also you have to almost like direct the wind. You can't just, I have responsibilities. You can, of course, something irrational and just leave your job. We had been saving for a little while. We had, weren't exactly sure what we were going to use the savings for. But it's all about planning. And it was that, that financial aspects allowed us to buy time back.
Amazing.
Buy that time back with the family, buy the ability to leave the job with the prospects of giving myself time to find a new job.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean that'll be easy.
Yeah.
It just means that I have a better chance of it, and maybe I don't have to do it with the financial pressure.
I was going to say you had a bit of a buffer.
Exactly.
That could kind of calm the anxiety of getting back out there.
And even with all the planning, you still get cold feet, you still get nervous, but there's something you can't explain fulfillment. And some of your decisions, what makes sense to some people.
Yeah.
And so for me and my family unit, it made sense. So that means it was the right thing to do. That was me betting on me and betting on our family.
Yes.
And so I left the role in a very positive way, a very positive exit, and had a great summer with the family, and was very calculated on the approach. At that point of leaving, it was about focusing on the UAE or Saudi. It was definitely a Middle East kind of component. I wouldn't say it was 100% Dubai, although that was the preference. So I did look at roles in other places as well and interview for roles in other places. But yeah, so after that time, it was application time, and I kid you not. I mean, already, this job market.
I know. Well, I will come to that, because I remember when you reached out and, told me your decision, and I was like so happy and proud with you. And of course, wanted you to make that jump, anyone would. However, of course, you need to do what's right for you. So no matter what would happen, I knew you'd land on your feet. And so I remember we had a consultation, gave you a bit of information about the UAE. But I absolutely loved your approach to the job search, because I speak for a lot of people who are considering moving, and everyone's circumstances are different, whether it's coming with a family, coming solo, some have visited before, some have never been before. So of course you were familiar with the UAE for different reasons, but you hadn't had a period of time of living here. So you coming out, having that decision and that very strategic time at home in London with your family was one, phase one. But then I could appreciate the strategy, and I'd love for you to talk to the audience a little bit about that with regards to, okay, this is the period for me and my family, and then this is going to be the period where I'm going to go out and email and contact and call, and you took another trip back to the UAE. So can you tell us a little bit about your job search strategy, because this kind of went in.
It was, I mean, like I said, it was very calculated. So I gave myself 3 months to find a job in the UAE. And then I gave myself another month of buffer time, and then another 3 months of an emergency fund after that. And I made sure that if I couldn't find a job in the UAE, I do need to repivot back to the UK.
Right.
Because,
you gave yourself that deadline.
Yeah. But if I'm going to try and find a job in the UAE, I need to go all in. So I solicited some support from a job search consultancy company in the UAE, because let's face it, none of us are experts at looking for work. who are not unemployed long enough to be experts at that. And also I'm going into a new market. As much as I think I might know this market, I learned along my travels that just visiting somewhere doesn't mean you know somewhere.
Exactly.
You need to talk to people. You need to get, and one of the earlier trips I did out here, I used a lot of my network to just get into rooms, get in front of people, to just have conversations, to just build relationships, not looking for anything, even in most cases seeing where I could add value to them. Because I think that's important. I think, especially in this market, a lot of opportunities do come from just being genuine and just the willingness to help and add value. And I got a lot of help in my journey. This is not something I said I've done alone. I had a plan, that was my plan, but that plan did involve looking for help and support. So the job search consultancy was one that helped me kind of reframe my CV, that kind of LinkedIn approach, etc., and some insights on the market as well. It was essentially me having my hit list of companies that I felt like I wanted to work for, and doing that research, checking their career pages, also really being on LinkedIn, connecting with people in the industry, working those algorithms as we do with social media. So LinkedIn works the same way, working those algorithms. LinkedIn Easy Apply surprisingly was quite beneficial for me. I mean, you just kind of apply, but you just kind of think it doesn't really get anywhere. And in most cases it won't. It's not really a part of a secure job search strategy, but I think there is an element of it that should be included, and it was included for me, and it did help as well. And also just using my network, networking. And I'm a people person, and I don't think you need to be here 100% to find opportunities, but it does help. So for me, I had the ability to be out here for a while. I had people helping me in terms of allowing me. I was able to stay at a friend's house for a period of time as well. And, that allowed me to get in front of people. And off the back of that, and off the back of a few of the applications, I got a few interviews. I didn't get many of them, but I did get one. So that was me, and I got a role 2 months into the 3 months. And here I am. So yeah.
For context, he's being so humble. I was so impressed and blown away by your dedication to the mission, right? Because as I said, I speak to a lot of people every day now. You come across someone who just moved yesterday or is trying to move, or the inbox is blowing up now from so many people. And to be honest, this has been happening the entire time that I've been here, and even before I moved, other people will tell you the same. But now this influx of people wanting to have the same thing. So, you give people advice and the consultations, but I think you're someone who's come across, and definitely the reason why I wanted to interview you, because you had such drive and precision on what it is that you wanted. And yes, you had a deadline. Yes, you got a family at home, but you had such a positive and very constructive way of going about your job search. You came out for a month and you were very intentional. And I think part of that goes even way before this part of your journey, because you've maintained relationships with me. And I guess there's lots of other people who you might not speak to them every day or every week or every month either. It might just be happy birthday and Merry Christmas. But I think there's something that goes a long way about maintaining relationships, because I'm sure it will also start happening to you where everyone's like, so how did you move to Dubai, right? These are people you haven't spoken to or seen, and these people don't ask you how you are because they're taking and they're extracting information, as opposed to genuinely having a relationship and also wanting to give back. And I love, as you said, that, reaching out to lots of people in your network, people that you might have worked with 3 months, 6 months, or many years ago, but maintaining those relationships and adding value to them. Not everything needs to be transactional. Not everything needs to be a big, over dramatic extension of friendship. But I think having that continuous communication and being a genuine people person really goes a long way. Because you coming out and utilizing that month because you could afford to made your time go a lot further. You had so many meetings. How many people would you meet in a day?
3 or 4. 3 or 4 a day.
Literally, recruitment consultants, friends of friends who could introduce you to somebody that they knew who had a company, CEOs of different places. You were meeting everyone.
Yeah, it was essentially, I had the privilege to allow it to be my full-time job.
Yeah.
When I was in the UK, with the time difference, I was up 5 in the morning. I'm up when the recruiters are up. I'm like, if I'm pivoting to this, I'm all in, because you cannot, in this market, you cannot be one foot in.
Right.
If you want to make this transition, it does not just applicable to the UAE, right? It's, you can't be half-hearted about it. You have to put all in. And for me, I kind of developed this level of confidence that it's kind of borderline like blind ignorance to some extent. This was going to happen.
Right.
So it was just really about when, because if I'm putting all of this energy into it and I'm betting on myself, I know what I'm capable of. So, you know, I've developed that confidence over the years, and, you know, it's been validated time and time again. At some point, you just have to just believe in your ability to do these things. Whether we call it manifestation, call it, you know, where your work great meets opportunity, and, you know, you just make things happen. And for me, it started to feel like it needed to happen. Not just because of the time element of things, but I saw all the benefits through the process of the transition for me. So, yeah, I mean, it was a journey, and it was not easy, but it was something that was totally doable, with preparation, with planning. You know,
Speaking of planning, I even love your spreadsheet of tracking your jobs. I don't think I've ever had a spreadsheet to track my jobs. I've got like notes in different places for different things. And the notes are organized for me to understand, right? Or maybe one or two people that I work with, we've got like shared documented things. But I love the spreadsheet that you had in the follow-up.
All of us start with like a Google sheet or Excel sheet, and like the admin just like, oh, do the work for the admin. Oh, the admin. But it's important because, you know, other things happen, you forget what this person said, what that person said. I had meetings, and I would have each person's name, the day I met them, you know, was this a lead? Was this social? Was this, you know, and then a little bit of notes. And it seems like, well, would you do that? But actually, I referenced that so many times when I know someone that works at that company, or I know someone that does that. And even kind of being here now, I know that template, that spreadsheet is going to serve me well, because there are also more people that I meet in many more industries that I may be able to connect or, you know, or get to know too. So, yeah, the data part helps. It helps. I'm a little bit of a spreadsheet nerd as well. So,
Of course. But no, I feel like it can be very overwhelming, like you said, in different industries and different countries, but especially here, like Dubai is very busy and the demand right now is high. So everything's, you know, growing, expanding, there's growing pains. It's a busy, bustling, exciting time, actually, as challenging as it can be with traffic and a lot of new incoming people. But I think the spreadsheet that you had and the way in which you put everything together really helped to, I guess, even me looking from the outside in, to organize things in a way that really helps it to be calming, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of noise and a lot of maybe chaos, but when it's on the spreadsheet, it kind of brings it down and gives you a bit of clarity. And it's going to go back full circle. You're like, wait, I spoke to this person who did this, and it's kind of, do you know what I mean?
For me, that's my process, right? If I'm going to have 4 meetings in a day, I need at least an hour, especially even if it's in the same place, I need like an hour and a half gap in between, because I need to download. Right? In my day job, but, you know, previously, sometimes you have back-to-back meetings, and that's not good. Like 3 meetings later, I was like, what happened in the first meeting? You don't remember what happened.
You get fatigued.
You get fatigued very quickly. You know, this place is very fast moving, so finding ways to slow things down is very important. And I'm entering this city with that mindset, because the city, I know, can just eat you up. It can eat you up. And, you know, I want to say one thing about the traffic. I mean, do we really think the traffic is that bad? Like, I mean, the UK, I don't know, I've experienced some of it, but like, I don't know, I feel like there's parts of London that's...
Okay, so for context, I used to live in Damac Hills, Town Square, and when I was in Damac Hills around COVID time, I could get from there to downtown in like 20 minutes. Right? So whether it's Hesse Streetway or I went in different directions, 25 minutes. And this is clear roads. This is not like traffic hotspots and oh my God, this is nice. Town squares, some people long so far, 5-10 minutes back, you know, the next roundabout up Sakim. And same thing, I would go a different route, but I could pretty much be door to door into the city in like half an hour.
Right, okay.
Now when you are sitting at whatever junction, whatever hotspot, even to get out of the community, and it's taken 5, 10, 15 minutes to turn left, or whatever the point is, because of course there's the school runs in the morning, the office people going to work out about. That's not me. I'm freelance and I'm pretty much missing those windows. But now it doesn't matter what window you leave, right? You're going to catch a hotspot somewhere, or your 20-minute journeys are now making like half an hour and 40-minute journeys. And I never used to see 40-minute journeys on pretty much any of my trips, unless I'm going to like literally the other side of town. So if I'm going to like Deer or something, well, I know it's travel as well. But now I'm hearing some crazy journey times for a lot of people, and it doesn't matter where you live now, because before it's like, oh, I want to avoid traffic on this side. The marina is busy, so I'll stay outside him, or downtown's busy, so I'll avoid. Listen, these days, no matter where you are, okay, the traffic is getting you, and so quite a few people said the same thing. Like it just, I think we've been used to and been spoilt to having nice, easy journeys for many years,
Just a little bit.
many years, and now it's like You have to, everything's unpredictable, whether it's old foods, whether it's a wedding show, whether it's...
I don't stay away from that area during Expo, because even with me being here for Gulf Foods, I mean,
It was intense.
just to get to, I think I went to Enish, oh my God.
It was insane.
Like, I might as well have walked. It was bad. But yeah. Cool.
So on one hand, for businesses, and if you're able to convert the extra footfall into, new friends, new networks, new sales, it's great. But everything else is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, but it is really good to be here. I think Dubai has so much to offer, especially from the hospitality perspective. It almost feels like the backbone of the city as well. It's part of the joy. It's part of what people enjoy about the city, the restaurant industry, the entertainment industry, food and beverage as a whole, hospitality as a whole. And I've seen so much innovation in that space. The boldness of ideas in that space is just phenomenal. Everything from the sustainability aspects of things to how you're integrating of robotics inside kitchens, back of house, front of house, the AI components in systems and manufacturing. I'm seeing so much here. And not that those things don't exist in other markets like the UK, etc. But I think the proximity to getting involved in those things and how fast those things are evolving is just phenomenal. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the future of this part of the world and how it will help inspire and shape other parts of the world.
Fantastic. And that you sound so passionate anyway about everything that you're doing, and I love it. Before we wrap up, I kind of just want to find out, what was it for you that made you say you have to move to Dubai now? Was it the Dubai side, or was there the constraints of London, or a mixture of both?
I think the Dubai side has been there, but it wasn't just Dubai, as I mentioned. I think the things the sun the weather is a big one, because I think just after being in Singapore for as long as we was in Singapore and then coming back to the UK has an amazing summer. But when it hits October, that dark and cold really gets you.
Yeah.
And I think when we initially thought about, we need to go, I think it was the winter of 2024 was this is feeling quite depressive.
Right.
I think other things fold into it at a more minor level, but there is a lot happening in the UK right now, and I felt that if we were thinking of a change, now is a good time for a change. Dubai has so much to offer especially as a family, in terms of the educational system, in terms of healthcare, in terms of safety, of course, in terms of building finances and wealth.
Yeah.
Opportunities in terms of education and learning, just about global culture and industry. I think that giving my children the exposure, even in the classroom, to so much diversity, can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt that the time was right, and it needed to be now. I think not that it needed to be now because I was on a clock, but I felt that everything kind of aligned with me leaving my previous role. My wife's back in education, but it's more remote education at the moment. slightly changing industry. So it almost feels like we can come here with a very fresh perspective, and see what we can get from this new opportunity.
And the age of your boys as well, they're young.
6, yeah. So I'm not even worried about them. Like they will it'll be fine.
I love this confidence easing from you. So with regards to what you've learned, obviously coming out, doing your job search in person for that month, going back home, securing a role, you're still at the very beginning of this part of your journey, but I really wanted to capture this because I feel like there's so much that people can learn from someone who is looking for work. And so for anyone who's got, quite vast experience like yourself in something that might be very, very, very niche in whatever industry, or perhaps it's not very niche, maybe it's something that is common. What would you say to anybody who actually wants to come out to the Middle East or anywhere where they're going to have to look at their skill set and pivot or apply that to a new market? Are there anything that you think you did when you were actually applying yourself to different roles? Because you didn't just stay in F&B, you actually tried to apply yourself in a wide array of areas. So is there any advice you can give to someone who's gonna be confident and have that lead in a new job?
I would say there's a few things. So firstly, have a plan. I won't repeat the saying, the saying, fail to plan, have a plan. The plan needs to work around your setup, your financial situation, depending if you need one now versus if you're looking to pivot in 6 months, etc. The second thing I would say is that, I think this is true for many, many roles, not just the UAE, but everyone wants a specialist on paper. But in reality, they're looking for a generalist.
Okay, you found that.
I find that, especially in a resource-strapped, I'm talking more middle management up, but in a resource-strapped environment or company that are really trying to get the most out of their hire.
Of course.
You are going to end up doing other things that are peripheral to that role. But on paper, that role is saying you're going to do certain things. I would say don't be scared to apply, but like me, if you have a very broad set of expertise and skills and you're good at a lot of things, you really need to hone in on, one, what do you really want to do? And is there an opportunity for that here?
Right.
And if you don't find there's an opportunity for that here and you still want to explore options, what is the next best thing, right? What in the workplaces that you're looking for jobs in, what are the titles of those roles? What do the job descriptions say, and how could you tailor your experience to that? Because you do need to be specific in your targeting. It will save you the brain power, it will save you the CV tailoring time, it will save you a lot of those things. And just know that the CV is there to get you an interview. After that, it's more about you than the CV. The last thing I'll say on it is that you need to disassociate your emotions from the job search. It's not personal.
Right.
There are 1,000 to 2,000 people applying for a role. Recruiters don't have time. They don't have time to respond as much. They don't have time. They're not going to review all of the CVs.
I hear people saying that all the time, not just about here, but even in the UK. Actually on the way here, I was listening to a guy on a radio station who was talking about he'd applied for 800 jobs and 200 or 300 of them he never heard back from. And personally, I don't think I've ever heard back from a job that I've applied for ever in my life. I've always gotten something through referral of somebody else. So you apply to this, but you get this, right? Or I've been headhunted. And thankfully, I've worked self-employed for quite a long time as well. So when people say that they don't hear back from jobs, I've never heard back from a job. So I'm like, are you expecting or wanting, generally, honestly, to hear back from all of these people?
I would say
it's not possible.
You have to remember as well, there are systems to help make this process efficient for us. And these ATS systems, if your CV is not formatted in a certain way, if it hasn't ticks the right boxes, it won't even get to a human. So even though there might be 1,000 or 2,000 people that are applying for a job, actually probably 90% of those CVs maybe won't even make it to the recruiter. And then even if the rest do make it to the recruiters are going to have to screen and also further filter. So, like I said, it's not personal. You have to understand that, there are, in this market, there are people that are very experienced applying for roles as well. But also, it's not just about experience. If you can get in front of a recruiter, if you can, get that screen time, that interview time, you have much better chances. Referrals do help, but being very intentional about the company or the market that you're looking at, it also is a big bonus.
Absolutely. And I think your follow-up came was brilliant. Like, I also came like yourself. I came out here to get face-to-face, meet people, have coffees. Not everybody gave you their time, but those who did, I was very grateful and still in touch today. And, fast forward, I wasn't going down the job market. I was doing music and trying to get in through that way. But it literally is your network. And so if you don't get out to the gigs and meet people and see, just generally go to check out shows, not just, I need to get a gig, but you're going to talk to people. You're going to see what the industry is like. Do I like this? Do I like that? There's so many people who reach out, and even if it is for business, I think they don't spend time getting to know the new market.
No.
And they want to apply the logic or the experience from the old place. This isn't like London, it's not like New York, it's not. No, it's not. It's not supposed to be either. Yeah. So while I don't think the UAE is perfect, I think it's got its own culture, just like most other cities that are long established way before. And now this is a space that if you come here, you understand it. Yeah. It's always evolving, it's fast paced. Different Emirates have different rhythms to them. You're only going to know that if you spend time here, not just for a holiday, but a little bit extra time, right? And not everyone understands that or thinks that's necessary. And I can appreciate that not everybody can afford to come and do a week, 2 weeks, or a month out here.
I went to events, I mix with people, and it's not necessarily about me, hey, have you got a job to give me? It's not that. It's introducing myself, it's them introducing themselves, it's getting to know them on a personal level, depending on the nature of the event. It's also saying and being open of your situation, because you never know. You never know, and it's not you asking them for anything. I think value-led conversations are important. The connections that I made on LinkedIn, any DMs that I sent, even to recruiters, I try to phrase it in a way where I'm trying to solve a problem for them. I'm trying to add value. Not, hey, recruiter, I saw this job, please hire me, or here's my CV. No, like, it's, hey, recruiter, you're hiring for this role. Are you struggling to find an applicant? I can send across my CV if you think that will help. I'm already applied via the formal channels. Or, throwing the ball in their court. It's not necessarily that no one wants to DM when everyone's asking you for things. Recruiters get hundreds of DMs.
Literally.
I send in a message, I note it down, especially if it's a job that I was interested in. But I don't hold anything against the recruiter or anything for not responding. These people are human, and hiring managers are human. I've been on the other side too.
Literally.
So yeah.
And I do think, now there is AI, and I've heard of a few people who've had that first date interviews with an AI assistant and so forth like that. So whilst it's very efficient on the one hand, I can very much understand how the human element is obviously been removed and there's that disassociation. But in terms of efficiency and the amount of people who are looking, I do think you've got to try different things. And so again, I admire and commend what you did, because, I was doing my thing from a music perspective, but I think with a lot of job searches, I also say to people, look, if you're looking for teaching roles or whatever it may be, and you're in the UK or you're in New York or wherever you may be, speak to your local people who may have an affiliation with Dubai, because maybe those recruiters can actually make a few connections for you. I know it's hard, but you have to stay consistent and actually not operate out of a level of, I suppose, despair or desperation, but more so strategic, where you're planting those seeds, you're actually adding value.
That's where the planning comes in. Right. So that's planning is so important. I mean, I'm more extroverted, but you don't need to be that character. Plan in accordance to how it takes, and just be consistent. Things will happen.
Well, even out here, I met a couple of recruiters a few years back, and it was just having that coffee. There was no pressure of, this person's going to find me a job, or they know me, so they've got to. It's just, this is potentially what I'm open to. And for a lot of people, I think, because I've done different things, just like yourself, and been very diverse and versatile, once they understand a bit more about me and the different levels to me, it's then about them placing you with the right contacts. It might even be that job you thought you were interviewing for. It might be something else. But having that FaceTime, having that coffee, going for that paddle game, or you know, that dinner show, whatever it may be. You're building that rapport. You may not speak to that person for a while.
That I know. I've discussed. I have to, play in here especially.
Right? And even recently, now that you've landed your role, congratulations. Very good work that's paid off. Your recruiter invited you to a morning walk. Something that I haven't even really heard much about out here, but you went for a morning walk.
That was we're at a different company actually, a recruitment agency, a great recruitment agency that I met out here on one of my first trips. So as part of that job strategy, I connected with a bunch of people from recruitment agencies, and obviously they've been obviously incentivized to place you as well. Have a different agenda also. So, became friends with quite a few of them as well. And some of them do these networking walks as well, because the process can be quite mentally taxing. And it's nice to, get job seekers into a bit of a routine, especially if they're here connecting and have some face-to-face time with some of them to, just answer some of the questions, whether it be interview prep or just a bit of a pick me up, because we know this market's hard.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I learned so much from you, not just in this conversation, but over your whole period. We've spoken, we've met, we've had the consultation, even you looking at communities, and I love that you're sold on your new space.
Yeah.
So it's been beautiful, and I'm really, really excited to see how it unfolds with your next chapter with the family arriving and you starting your new job.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
So I would love to talk to you in a few weeks or months' time and find out more about your Dubai journey. But for now, I really hope it's inspired our listeners and viewers, and it's helped them to maybe have perspective. Maybe Dubai is not for them, but getting out of their current role, their current situation, and trying something different. I really think you've got a lot to share. So please.
Thank you.
As long as
we're
backing up, we'd love for people to be able to get in touch with you as well.
Okay.
But for now, that is our episode with Tobias, who lived in Spain, Singapore, and is now starting his journey in Dubai. So if you liked this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's going to inspire you. Maybe there's someone at your work, someone in your family, maybe a neighbor, who needs to hear it. So please do share. Sharing is caring. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Please click the like button and notification so that you get the next episode updated as soon as possible. This has been the Black in Dubai podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Tobias Aziza. I'm a food service professional, F&B manager, advisor, mentor. You can find me on LinkedIn at Tobias Aziza, and this is Black in Dubai.